Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my reaction to Doctor Who Series 12 Episode 9 Ascension of the Cybermen. Now with the review of this story with The Timeless Child coming out next week, this is the only thoughts and opinions of this episode I will be doing for a week before the review of both episodes of this story will come next week, so you've got to wait a week. So, Ascension of the Cybermen, this story is mostly set up, I suppose. Again, that's what you expect from a part one of a two-part story, or a multi-part story, depending. Classic Who fans will know this very well. So, this story mainly focuses on the Doctor and her companions arriving on this unnamed planet, helping out a couple of humans get to escape. Some of them die, some of them... Well, I think one of them does get left behind. I think he's still alive, but he's left alive. So he's still on the planet, but he's all on his own, or off-screen, two of the other two Cybermen that were with Ashad, the Cyberman from the Haunting of Villa Dioti, who returns for this story. So maybe those two, and he's got two other Cybermen who look like the Mondasian Cybermen from 2011, the Cyberman design, but without the C chest plate, just a circle one, which the fans presumed were the Mondasian Cybermen version of the Cyber Cybermen version, hence the theory that's dating up with the Cybers version to create 2013's first scene in Nightmare in Silver, which may or may not be the version that Ashad is. So that character, that character who's still alive at the end, he's either still alive or he's been captured by those other two Cybermen and all killed. But we don't really see that, so we can presume he's still alive, and then two others die, and then the other four are three of them and Graham and Yaz go off in this spaceship and find a big giant Cyberman ship, and it's got all of this whole massive army on board, ready for cyber wars. That this is in the aftermath of, whilst the other one teams up with the Doctor and has separated Ryan, and they steal one of the Cyberman ships, and they go and try and find this place where they can cross a boundary to safety, which is overlooked by one other human who has escaped. And yeah, the story mainly focuses quite a bit on the Cyberman stuff, Cyberman ship stuff, with Graham, Yaz and company on that ship, trying to escape the Cybermen, whilst Ashad revives the new Cyberman army with a great new design. The faceplates look like the ones from the Invasion. The helmets are very 80s style, with elements from a real time as well, and the bodies have similarities to the 2013 versions. Along with Ashad, it's a nice mix of the Ashad Cyberman design. It's a mix of past Cyberman designs merged really well together, and we got a really great new one. My only complaint is that they're back to stomping again, which means they're going to be loud stomping, and unlike the 2013 ones, the 2013 ones, they can move fast or normally, but it looks like these ones are back to stomping like the 2006 and 2011 designs. Can't we just have normal moving Cybermen again? I mean, don't go back to having men in silver jumpsuits, but at least let them move not too dissimilar to the classic series designs, and they don't have to make the stomp noise all the time. That was something in 2017 they did with all the designs, which I know annoyed quite a few people in the case of the Mondasian Cyberman redesign, that they were annoyed that they were making stomping noises. And to be honest, I don't think the 2013 ones need to make stomping noises either. Just the 2006/11 ones. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing they've gone back to stomping, but maybe they'll lose that sound effect in later versions, later appearances perhaps. I mean, it's inevitable these Cybermen designs will appear again. No question. At some point after this story, it's the Chibnall era cyber design, and unlike the Daleks, this is not a one-off. Ashad would be a one-off or two-off maybe, but the new design is probably going to be sticking around for a while, unless the fans do a Paradigm Dalek style amount of complaining. But beyond the usual amount of complaining that we get these days, I don't think that's very likely. Like I said, beyond the usual amount that Series 11 and 12, and maybe even some of the other series from Capaldi and even late Smith era amount of complaining gets levels. Meanwhile, the story with the Doctor and her company trying to find this bridge gateway thing is also pretty interesting. It's got some really good stuff, and there's a bit of a shocking twist at the end when it's revealed that it goes to a destroyed Gallifrey for some reason, and the Master pops back up again. Yes! I was so happy when he popped up again, and the only question is, how is he back on Gallifrey? I mean, okay, I'm wondering how this thing connects to a destroyed Gallifrey anyway, but how's the Master back there? Is this the Master before Spyfall? Did he escape the Kasavan universe and go back to Gallifrey and wait for the Doctor to find this bridge gap thing? And his excuse for escaping the Kasavan universe is "I escaped," which is the 80s style Master excuse. I escaped. That's pretty much how he well, he doesn't directly say it, or to be honest, but that's how we presume the Master escaped. If that question was ever asked, if the Doctor would go, "How did you escape?" the Master just would go, "I escaped," and the Doctor would go, "Fair enough." And the same would be said for Missy's Master in series 9 and 10. She had an excuse to escape death in heaven, and then she revealed in The Witch is Familiar. It's her escape at the end of that story and her appearance in series 10 that doesn't get answered, which is fine. I don't mind the Master just escaping and not revealing how, because that's the Master. That's how's he gone Gallifrey? Why has he gone back? And is this pre-Spyfall for him or post-Spyfall? Possibly, I'm not sure. I mean, he may have just escaped and gone back to Gallifrey and waited for the Doctor. We'll see, but things are going to change quite a bit for this story. We'll see how that goes. Maybe he's had some sort of involvement with the Cybermen, which this would make that the third series finale in 5 series that the Master and the Cybermen together were doing, or the Master and the Cybermen in the same story. It is actually. It's the third series finale and the third Cyberman story with the Master in 5 series. 5 series 8 to 12. Can series 13 have the Daleks at the end of the series again? I mean, technically, they haven't appeared in the series finale since series 5, minus a cameo in Hellbent. But apart from that, the Daleks haven't had a series finale since, well, again, Pandora opens Big Bang, that technically doesn't really count as a proper Dalek story. So the last proper Dalek series finale was Stolen Earth Journey's End in 2008, series 4. Can we have the Daleks as the series 13 series finale back? Or, and I don't mind the Master being in that story as well, because we need more Sacha Dhawan Master, and they introduced him this early into the 13th Doctor's era, depending on how long the era is, and same for the Christopher Chibnall era as a whole. As far as we're aware, Fugitive of the Judoon into Praxeus, that gap is the halfway mark of the era. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's looking really great. But yeah, this is the third Cyberman series finale and the third series finale with the Cybermen and the Master. I mean, technically the Master didn't really team up with the Cybermen in World Nothing Time Doctor Falls, and we don't know if they are here. But they're certainly very involved with each other for series 8, 10, and 12's finales. Simon also made an appearance in series 9, but only a cameo, and that was part of the Stephen Moffat era. The Simon always appeared in episode 12 of every series of the Moffat era, whether it was a main story or a cameo. So that seemed like Christmas. It was a tradition. The Cybermen would pop up in episode 12 of each series in the Moffat era, with series 6, 7, 8, and 10 having them as proper stories, and series 5 and 9 being cameos. Again, Pandorica stuff for series 9's case, and in Gallifrey underneath the cloister room in series 9's. But yeah, anyway, but yeah, I would like to see the Cybermen in another episode of the series in future series going on. I don't know if they'll be back in 13. They might be back in 14. So yeah, if they're back in series 13 or 14, can we have them in an earlier episode of the series? They don't necessarily necessarily have to be in the series finale, or is that going to be tradition from now on, series 8 onwards, that every other series we're going to have the Cybermen in the series finale as our big bad? Then again, to be honest, the Daleks were that way in Russell T Davies' era. Series 1, Cybermen and Daleks in Series 2, and then Daleks again in Series 4. Series 3 is having a break with the Master. And then a cameo in 5, and a cameo in 6, and then they were out of the series finales from their point, apart from the Hellbent cameo. But yeah, we'll see. Specials like Time of the Doctor and Resolution don't count, by the way. Okay, so but Ascension of the Cybermen, really good story. Really great stuff, and I'm loving the new Cyberman design. It's possibly the best Cyberman redesign of the new series so far, ? See what I might make that final decision next week after watching the finale, with them doing a bit more stuff. My only real disappointment with them is that they're back to stomping and being loud and slow, whilst the 2013 ones either were fast, as seen in Nightmare in Silver, or just moved normally, or at least when they were marching, they're at least not too as slow as the 2006, 2011 versions. These ones aren't that slow either, so we might see them be like the 2013 versions from this point onwards. But I'm disappointed they have to stomp from now on in the new series. Again, bringing back to that point with the fans not being happy about that with the Mondasian Cybermen doing that in World Enough in Time. Anyway, so that's pretty much the story. Oh, before we finish up, there is one other piece of this story that we must talk about. Throughout the story, by the way, a fantastic pre-title scene with an opening narration, probably by Ashad, the Cyberman from The Haunting of Villa Diote, who's back and this time considered leader by 2 Cyberman associates that he brings along. So I guess he's technically cyber leader in this story. Maybe we'll find out more about him next week, because he does mention he's been chosen for this purpose, to ascend the Cybermen. We might find out more about that next week, maybe. But one other thing about this in this story is that throughout the story we see this couple people from Ireland from the early to mid 20th century, 1930s, 40s, 50s. Apart from the last bit, which comes a bit later on. But these scenes are they're a bit disjointed throughout the episode. We get a couple of scenes where this couple finds a baby in the middle of the lane, and so after unable to find the parents, they adopt him, and he grows up and joins the police force, and survives falling off a cliff after being shot in the arm by a thief, and somehow he survives, and he gets a reward, but he's kind of a bit down about it a little. Possibly about the morality of him surviving, and then we see him all grown up later on, and then somehow his father and a fellow police officer who helped his father and adoptive parents with their inquiries about it, and then later was his boss when he joined the force. Somehow they're still there as they were, and strapped the older guy, Brendan, who was the baby, the one we saw growing up. They strap him to a chair and just give him some pain. I'm not sure what's going on with these scenes. I'm hoping it's all going to be explained next week. We were thinking it might be Ashad, it might be, or someone who's going to become a Cyberman or something. It's strange. I have a theory that Brendan could possibly be a son or relation to Captain Jack due to his healing abilities. But then again, that may not necessarily work. Just because he's related to Captain Jack doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have survival abilities. Not to mention Captain Jack's grandson. Well, to be honest, he's in Children of Earth. He died saving the world. But then again, I think he was an adopted grandson anyway. So maybe, perhaps, an actual biological child could actually have Jack's healing factor. Possibly, and of course, Jack would have done quite a lot, both with Torchwood and on his own, between arriving in the late 1800s when he first started up with Torchwood, and once he found the Doctor again in 2008 actually, because of the whole year later thing in 2008 at the start of Utopia. following the events of Torchwood Series 1. But then again, it may not be Jack. The other theory is that it could be the Timeless Child, but considering we've also seen this little girl in this futuristic place in shots in Spyfall Part 2 and Can You Hear Me, I'm not sure how certain that is. So that's another possible theory. I'm not entirely sure just yet. It's also worth noting at this point, episode 9 does not feature the Roof Doctor making an appearance, nor does Captain Jack himself. So if those characters are going to appear in the finale, it will be in next week's episode. But I'm not entirely certain about that. Same for the Timeless Child themselves. We might find out about that next week, as that story is for Timeless Children. But we'll see about that. But as for Jack and Ruth, it's not likely. Possibly, I do want to find out more about the Roof Doctor. There was a massive twist in Fugitives of the Jadoon, and if it doesn't get answered if enough, or at least not even appearance next week, if there's not even an appearance next week, it's going to feel a bit just there because it's going to feel if it does, even if it's going to be resolved next series, it does feel like a massive mid-era game changer that wouldn't get addressed until next series. It's not like the Timeless Child where it was just a passing mention, and then we just passed after series 11 and then came back, and then it came back around in this series and became a major thing. No, this one was a massive major game changer as soon as it appeared, as opposed to a passing mention and speculative theory until it was brought back round again. No, this one is a massive game changer. So hopefully at least an appearance in the next episode or in the special afterwards. Otherwise it's going to feel a bit strange. And if there's no reasoning behind, if there's no explanation by the very end, then it's going to feel pointless. So hopefully we'll get even a little thing next series. So hopefully we'll get at least just a little thing next episode before further things can be done next series. Same for Captain Jack. I do want him to make another appearance because again he just appeared just to give the message to the companions, and then that was it, which was a shame, but it was great to see him back. So hopefully episode 10 will have a lot. Episode 10 is going to be packed. It's got a lot of things to do, and some of it might not even do at all. It's just something we're hoping it would happen. Otherwise, it's going to be waiting till next series, if even at all. It's not likely the special in between is going to be involved with these big story arcs. If it's going to be like Resolution, it's it might have something character related to wrap up story arc wise, but in terms of the big story arc itself, probably not. Just character wise, maybe. But we'll see. But going back to this episode, the Brendan stuff doesn't get. I feel like it's left unfinished, and I think it's going to continue into next episodes, and we're going to see how this story is actually connecting to the main story of the main stories with the Doctor and companions and the humans fighting off against the Cybermen. How it's going to connect, how the Brendan stuff is going to connect to the rest of the story and the story of episode 10. Because at the moment it feels a bit strange. In fact, as soon as when we were watching it, we were thinking, are we watching the right show? Although the transition from when the adoptive mother goes, keep this up, we might have to call the Doctor, and then we cut to the Doctor starting off her story. But it was a bit strange. Just having these scenes without much context of what's going on. We thought it might be Ashad's backstory, but apart from that being already covered in dialogue, it didn't really wrap up, so we're not really sure. It's a bit strange. So hopefully that'll be explained next episode, what's going on there. These Dark Materials did a similar thing with the story of another character being brought in, and over the course of half the series, we saw bits of their lives, and then at the end, they entered the world of the main character, Lyra. But their story wasn't very huge in that series, but it probably will be late in future series. So I don't know if this is going to be like that, where Brendan is going to be more important next series, and they're setting it up here, and he may have a tie-in with the series finale, but he's going to be more important later down the line. Or if he is definitely just for these 2 episodes, and his story connects to somehow in episode 10 it connects. If not, then these scenes here just feel a bit strange. They just feel added in. At least his Dark Materials, they are going to connect into series 2s, because with those scenes, they did feel a bit strangely added in, but they are probably gonna play a part in series 2 of his Dark Materials. Here, I don't know if it's going to end next week, if they're going to tie into the story next week, or if they're just going to be left alone, or if they're going to carry on into series 13. I'm not quite sure. It's a bit strange. So hopefully we'll find out what's going on then. Overall, I think Ascension of the Cybermen is a great story, a great episode, a great start to the story. There's a few questionable things going on, but I think the main part of the Doctor into humans fighting to survive against the Cybermen, with the return of Ashad and the whole ascension of the Cybermen themselves, I think that's all done really well. Some really great stuff, and the post-Cyber Empire story is really great. And the return of the Master and the link to Gallifrey, that's going to have some sort of exciting twists and turns for next week. So looking forward to next week, with the truth about the Timeless Children to be at least talked a bit more about, if not completely revealed, and the fight against the Cybermen, as that final bit when the Cybermen broke in and started shooting at the Ryan, Yaz, and the other 3 humans still inside. Wow, that's a great way to end the story. 2 of the companions and 3 supporting characters could have been killed in that moment, and we don't know whether anyone escaped or not. That's pretty exciting. They might have already escaped, or maybe the Cybermen thought actually maybe we'll take them for conversion, perhaps. But yeah, that was a great ending to go on. This story has quite a big cliffhanger. Well, not a huge cliffhanger, but it's still quite big. Spyfall Part 1 level, perhaps. So yeah, we'll see how it all goes next week with the Timeless Children. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. My only issue, I have an issue, and it looks like these, unless the fans complain, like the Paradigm unless the but yeah, the story with the Doctor and Ryan and company, their company, finding this planets and the way to get through from there to another universe, that or different dimension, that looks or different part of the universe, that looks really great. As far as we're aware, Fugitive of the Judoon could be the halfway mark. But no, Fugitive 2, the possibility. Well, Brendan. But as for Jack and Ruth, it's not like his Dark Materials where you've got this whole next bit of the story that's going to be tying into a later series. Otherwise, and the return of the Master, and Gallifrey, that's going to again the link to Gallifrey, that's going to prove pretty intriguing and pretty exciting for next week. So, looking forward to next week with the final battle against the Cybermen and the truth about the Chinese.